Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are looking at a topic today that I think probably hits close to home for a huge chunk of our listeners. You just look around any city on a Saturday morning and what do you see?
It's a sea of carbon fiber and lycra.
Exactly. Cycling has absolutely exploded.
It really has. It's gone from this niche endurance sport to, I don't know, the new golf. Kind of. Everyone's doing it.
Totally. But with that explosion, and we're talking about everyone from, commuters to people who are practically training for the world tour, there's a physical bill that eventually comes due. We're seeing this massive spike in overuse injuries. Hips, knees, lower back. People get on the bike to get healthy, and 6 months later, they're in physical therapy.
It's the classic endurance paradox. And usually when we try to solve these issues, or even when we just want to put out more wattage, we get tunnel vision.
We focus on the show muscles.
Oh, yeah.
The quads.
The quads, the glutes, maybe the calves if you're feeling fancy. You call this the quad dominance mindset.
I am so guilty of this. If my legs look big, I assume I'm fast.
It's a natural assumption, but there is a hidden weak link in that whole kinetic chain that almost everyone, even really experienced riders, overlooks.
Okay.
It's often the root cause of that nagging back pain, the knee tracking issues, and honestly, it's a huge untapped reservoir for free speed.
So we're not talking about the quads today.
No. Today we're doing a deep dive into the hamstrings.
The hamstrings. The muscle group I usually ignore until I drop my keys and realize I can't bend over to pick them up.
That's the one. And our mission today is to unpack why this specific muscle group is the secret engine of performance and why cycling, just by its very biomechanical nature, is almost designed to sabotage hamstring health.
All right, let's do it.
We've got a stack of research here, including protocols from Physio Hub and some really specific biomechanical studies by Holliday and Bakari.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics first, because I think for most of us, we just think of the hamstring as the back of the leg.
Right.
But anatomically, it's doing something pretty complicated, isn't it?
It is deceptively complex. The hamstring is what we call a two-joint muscle.
A two-joint muscle.
And that right there is the key to understanding why it gets into trouble on a bike.
Walk me through that. So it's crossing two joints.
Exactly. The hamstring group runs from your pelvis, specifically your sit bones, all the way down past the knee joint, attaching to your lower leg. So it controls two separate movements. It extends the hip, moving your leg backward, and it flexes the knee, bending the leg.
Okay, I'm visualizing that. It's like a long cable spanning two different pivot points.
Perfect analogy. Now, think about the unique position of a cyclist. This is where we run into what's called the length-tension relationship problem.
The length-tension relationship. That sounds like a bad relationship status on social media.
It kind of is. For your muscles, it's a fundamental principle of physiology. Muscles generate their best force at an optimal length. Too short, they're weak. Too stretched, they're also weak.
Got it.
Now, picture yourself pedaling.
Okay, I'm clicked in.
At the top of the pedal stroke, your hip is flexed, your knee is up near your chest. That action stretches the top of the hamstring.
Right.
But your knee is also super bent, which shortens the bottom of the hamstring.
So one end is pulling tight and the other end is going slack at the same time.
Precisely. And then you push down. At the bottom of the stroke, your hip extends a little, but your leg never fully straightens. Cyclists rarely go past about 150 degrees of knee extension.
Right, you never ever lock out your knee on a bike.
So your hamstrings are trapped in this biomechanical limbo. They're under constant tension, but they never go through their full range of motion. They're perpetually working in a semi-contracted state.
It's like keeping a rubber band stretched just a little bit for hours, but never letting it fully relax or fully snap.
That is a great way to put it. And the body is an adaptation machine. If you spend 10, 15 hours a week in that position, the body just says, okay, I guess we don't need this extra length anymore.
And the muscle physically shortens.
It physically shortens. This is why cyclists are notorious for having terrible flexibility.
So the bike itself is practically an architectural design for tight hamstrings.
It is. The mechanics of the sport actively work against the health of that muscle group. And that stiffness isn't just about, not being able to touch your toes. It pulls on the pelvis, which pulls on the lower back. It alters how your knee tracks. It's a domino effect.
Okay, so that's the injury side. Don't get hurt. But I want to push back a little on the performance side. A lot of our listeners are data-driven.
Watts.
They care about watts, they care about speed. Does being bendy actually make you faster? Or does it just make you good at yoga?
Oh, it absolutely makes you faster. And this is where we have to look at the Holliday study from 2020. They didn't just measure flexibility, they looked at the correlation between hamstring length and aerodynamic efficiency.
Okay, so how do loose hamstrings help me cheat the wind?
It all comes down to pelvic tilt. To go fast, especially on the flats, you want to get low. You want that flat back aero tuck to minimize your frontal area.
The position that usually makes everyone's back start to groan after 5 minutes.
Right. Now, imagine your hamstrings are tight, they're anchored to your sit bones. If they're short, they're pulling your pelvis into what's called a posterior tilt. They're dragging the back of your pelvis down.
Like a dog tucking its tail between its legs.
Exactly like that. So when you try to lean forward into an aero position, your lower back has to round like crazy to compensate, all because your pelvis is stuck. You're fighting your own internal resistance.
So I'm spending energy just to hold my body in position before I even put any power into the pedals.
Correct. You're burning watts fighting your own tension. The Holliday study suggests that riders with better hamstring flexibility can rotate their entire pelvis forward. This allows them to keep a flatter spine, get lower, and maintain that position with way less muscular effort.
So it's pure efficiency.
It's free speed. You reduce your drag coefficient, your CDA, without increasing your metabolic cost. If you're fighting your hamstrings to stay low, you are wasting oxygen, period.
That brings up a really interesting point about comfort, which I think leads perfectly into the next study.
Yeah.
Because if you're fighting that pelvic tilt, you're not just slow, you're uncomfortable. And we have to talk about the cyclist's worst nightmare. Saddle sores.
The topic no one wants to discuss, but everyone deals with.
I found this research from Vicari et al., published just this year, 2024, to be pretty mind-blowing. I usually assume saddle sores are about, well, the saddle.
Or bad shorts.
Yeah. But they're linking it to the hamstrings.
It's a fascinating connection. The study looked at saddle pressure distribution, and again, it comes right back to that pelvic control.
How does tight legs equal a sore undercarriage?
Think about something called shear force.
Shear force, that just sounds painful.
It is. If your hamstrings are tight and pulling your pelvis into that posterior tilt, that tucked tail position, you tend to slide forward on the saddle.
Yeah.
Gravity and the slope of the seat just push you.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
You're constantly hitching yourself back up the seat.
Exactly. You slide forward, you push yourself back. You slide forward, you push back. That constant micro movement creates friction shear force between your skin and the chamois. That friction is the primary cause of saddle sores.
Wow. So the shifting, the chafing, it's not because the seat is too hard, it's because my hamstrings won't let me sit still.
In many cases, yes. The study found that better flexibility in the hamstrings and lower back predicted a much more stable, even pressure distribution on the saddle.
That is a massive moment. I feel like people spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars on bike fits and different saddles with cutouts and gel inserts.
And often they're just applying a mechanical band-aid to what is fundamentally a biological problem.
Right.
If your pelvis can't sit neutrally because your muscles are too short, the most expensive saddle in the world won't fix it.
Okay, so we've got aerodynamics, we've got injury prevention, and we've got saving our skin literally. But I want to challenge you on something I hear all the time.
Go for it.
I've been to spin classes, I've ridden with groups, and the instructors always yell, pull up on the pedals.
This famous pull phase.
Right. The logic seems to make sense. Quads push down, hamstrings pull up. But looking at the notes here, you're saying that's a myth?
It's largely a myth, yes. And we know this because of EMG studies, electromyography, where scientists actually attach sensors to the muscles to see when they fire.
And they aren't firing on the upstroke.
Not in the way people think. If you actively try to pull up with any real force, you're mostly just unweighting the leg. You aren't generating propulsion. The most efficient cyclists in the world actually produce very little power on the upstroke.
So if they aren't pulling up, what are the hamstrings even doing?
They're acting as stabilizers and power transmitters. This is the nuance. The hamstring is most active from about the 6 o'clock to the 9 o'clock position.
So across the bottom of the stroke.
Exactly, the transition across the bottom. And they work to stabilize the knee while the quad is doing its big push.
Wait, explain that. The quad pushes, but the hamstring stabilizes.
Think of it like scraping mud off the bottom of your shoe. That's the motion at the bottom. The hamstring initiates that sweep. But more importantly, during the heavy downward push from 12 to 5 o'clock, the hamstring is firing to control the knee extension. If it didn't fire, the force from the quad would just snap your knee open.
So it's the governor. It handles the power the quad produces.
It's the transmission. It transfers that power to the crank. If the hamstring is weak or fatigued, that power transfer leaks. You lose wattage.
So it's like having a V8 engine but a slipping transmission.
Perfect. The power is there, but it's not getting to the wheels.
Okay, that makes so much sense. It's not about pulling. It's about control and transfer. So we've established the problem. The bike makes us tight. Tightness makes us slow and sore, and weak hamstrings waste power. Now we have to fix it. And I assume the answer isn't just touch your toes for 30 seconds.
Please don't just touch your toes. Static stretching has its place, but it is not the solution here. We need to talk about eccentric strength training.
Okay, let's define that properly. Eccentric.
Right. So muscles have three ways of working. Isometric is holding still. Concentric is shortening like curling a dumbbell up. Eccentric is the opposite. The muscle is contracting while it is lengthening.
Like lowering the dumbbell really slowly.
Exactly. You're fighting gravity as the muscle gets longer. This is crucial for cyclists because we need to reverse that shortening adaptation we talked about. We need to tell the body to physically grow the muscle longer.
Grow it longer. I thought muscles just stretched out like elastic.
That's the misconception. When you do static stretching, you're mostly just increasing your tolerance to that stretch sensation. The muscle doesn't structurally change much, but with heavy eccentric training, you trigger a process called sarcomerogenesis.
Sarcomerogenesis, that is a $5 word.
It sounds complex, but it's so cool. A sarcomere is the basic building block of a muscle fiber. When you overload the muscle force it to work while stretching, the body realizes it's under tension at the end of its range.
And to adapt.
To adapt, it literally adds new sarcomeres in series. It adds new links to the chain.
So you are structurally, biologically lengthening the muscle fiber, not just stretching it for a minute.
Exactly. You are building a longer, more resilient muscle. And the research shows this is vastly superior for injury prevention. We're talking about reducing injury rates by anywhere from 8% to, in some studies, 70%.
70% is absurd. If a pill reduced injury risk by 70%, it would be sold out everywhere.
It would be. But the pill here is hard work. And the two gold standard exercises are the Romanian deadlift, or RDL, and the Nordic hamstring curl.
Let's talk about the Nordic curl first, because I feel like I see this on Instagram all the time. You kneel down, someone holds your ankles, and you just lower yourself to the floor.
It looks simple. It is incredibly humbling.
I tried this once, and I think I made it about 3 inches before I just face planted. It felt like my hamstrings were going to rip off the bone.
That is the common experience, and that fear keeps people from doing them. But you don't need to go all the way down and back up like a superhero to get the benefit.
So how does a normal person start?
You focus purely on the lowering phase, the eccentric part. Lower yourself as slowly as you can control. Even if you only control it for 10 degrees, that's fine. Catch yourself with your hands, push back up, and repeat.
So the goal isn't the rep. The goal is the struggle against gravity on the way down.
The struggle is what signals sarcomerogenesis. That's the magic.
And the RDL.
Yes.
That's the one with weights.
Yes. Standing, holding a barbell or dumbbells. You keep a slight bend in the knees, not locked, but not a squat. And you hinge at the hips. You push your butt back as far as you possibly can.
And you should feel that deep stretch in the hamstrings at the bottom, right?
A massive stretch. And then, this is key, you use that stretched hamstring to pull yourself back up. You're strengthening the muscle at length. That is the direct antidote to the cycling posture.
Okay, now what about right before a ride? I still see people every weekend standing in the parking lot, leg up on the bumper of their car, cranking on a hamstring stretch. Good idea?
Generally a bad idea.
Why? I thought we wanted to be flexible.
We do, but static stretching immediately before power production can cause what's called neural inhibition. You basically put the muscle to sleep. You're making the rubber band floppy right before you need it to be snappy.
So what's the better parking lot routine?
Dynamic mobilization is good, but honestly, the research suggests the best warm-up for cycling is cycling.
Just ride the bike?
Just ride the bike, but slowly. Low-intensity cycling for 10 to 15 minutes. The study showed this reduces stiffness by about 3% and improves range of motion without killing your power. Motion is lotion.
I love that phrase. It's about prepping the tissue, not yanking on it.
Exactly. Save the deep static stretching for after the ride or a separate recovery day.
Okay, let's talk about the worst case scenario. You didn't do your Nordics, you hammered too hard, and you feel that pop, you've got to strain. The old school advice was rest.
Race. Rest, ice, compression, elevation, and it's outdated advice. The current literature emphasizes early rehabilitation.
How early are we talking?
Obviously, check with a medical professional if it's a serious tear, but generally, you want to start gentle loading within 48 hours.
Wow. 2 days.
Yeah. If you let a muscle heal while sitting completely still, the scar tissue forms in a messy, disorganized clump. It's weak and stiff.
Right.
But if you gently move the muscle pain-free range of motion, you encourage the tissue fibers to align correctly, you're guiding the healing process.
You're telling the tissue, this is the direction you need to be strong in.
Precisely. It speeds up recovery and helps prevent re-injury. But again, this isn't no pain, no gain. It's motion is lotion, not motion is torture.
Right. Don't go try to sprint. Just
Yeah.
move the leg.
Exactly.
So let's try to pull all of this together. We started this deep dive talking about how cycling is booming, but everyone's hurting.
And we found that the overlooked engine, the hamstring, is usually the culprit.
It's amazing how this one muscle group connects everything. It connects to the don't get hurt side.
Because of the two-joint mechanics.
It connects to the go fast side
Yeah.
because of the Holliday study in aerodynamics.
And it connects to the comfort side because of saddle pressure and sheer force. It really is the bridge between the rider and the machine.
So for the listener who wants to actually apply this, what's the checklist?
I'd boil it down to 3 pillars. 1, prioritize eccentric strength. You have to build a longer, stronger muscle with Nordics or RDLs.
It starts slow so you don't faceplant.
Please start slow. 2, mobilize intelligently. Don't static stretch before a ride. Use the bike to warm up.
And 3.
And 3, understand your biomechanics. If you're uncomfortable on the saddle or you can't hold an aero tuck, don't just blame your gear. Look at your body first.
That's the big takeaway for me.
Oh.
We are so quick to buy upgrades. We love carbon. We love titanium.
It's easier to buy speed than to sweat for it.
It is. But before you go out and spend $300 on a new fit or buy the squishiest saddle on the market because your back hurts, ask yourself a question.
When was the last time you truly strengthened your hamstrings?
The biggest upgrade to your cycling experience might not be at the bike shop. It might be on the gym floor.
I think the evidence fully supports that.
That's it for this deep dive. Go give those hamstrings some attention carefully, and we'll see you on the next one.